Dr. Pearl will be playing for us A Night in Tunisia, which is an Afro-Cuban piece by Dizzy Gillespie, one of the great transcenders of boundaries in music, who managed to see the connectivity in a great variety of cultures and approaches to music. Wisława Szymborska won the Nobel Prize for Literature, and this is her poem, Psalm. Oh, the leaky boundaries of man-made states! How many clouds float past them with impunity? How much desert sand shifts from one land to another? How many mountain pebbles tumble onto foreign soil in provocative hops? Need I mention every single bird that flies in the face of frontiers or alights on a roadblock at the border? A humble robin, still, its tail resides abroad while its beak stays home. If that weren't enough, it won't stop bobbing. Among innumerable insects, I'll single out only the ant between the border guard's left and right boots, blithely ignoring the questions, where from and where to. Oh, to register in detail at a glance the chaos prevailing on every continent. Isn't that a privet on the far bank, smuggling its 100,000th leaf across the river? And who but the octopus, with impudent long arms, would disrupt the sacred bounds of territorial waters? And how can we talk of order overall, when the very placement of the stars leaves us doubting just what shines for whom? Not to speak of the fog's reprehensible drifting, and dust blowing all over the steppes as if they hadn't been partitioned, and the voices coasting on obliging airwaves, that conspiratorial squeaking, those indecipherable mutters. Only what is human can truly be foreign. The rest is mixed vegetation, subversive moles, and wind.
Welcome to our American Creativity, Ingenuity, and Diversity course. And in this portion, I would like to discuss the introduction of Latin rhythms and sounds into American music, creating what's now often called Afro-Cuban music. Although back in the day when it was first introduced by the artist I'm going to feature today, who was John Burks Gillespie, known as Dizzy Gillespie. It was called Cubop, which was the amalgamation of Cuban influence and bebop. Now it's called Afro-Cuban, and it's literally a major area of study in music conservatories, in schools of music all over the world, including the Berklee School of Music right here in Boston. So John Burks Gillespie was born in South Carolina in 1917. He lived from 1917 to 1993. He was a great trumpet player. He ended up in the major jazz cities, most of his career in New York on the famous 42nd Street with all the clubs in Harlem. And he was known as Dizzy, really because he had a lot of antics on the stage. He was famous for having the upturned bell of the horn, which the story is his horn got dropped or damaged and the horn got turned up and he just went with it. And he became known as the trumpeter who had that style of his horn. He became known for having great contributions to the music, such as introducing the augmented 11 sound to jazz voicings. He became known for having the unusual embouchure of puffing out his cheeks while playing, which is the exact inverse of what a normal classical trumpeter's embouchure would be. But anyway, he was also considered probably the godfather of Latin American jazz. And he had worked with a bunch of basically auxiliary percussionists to get down these rhythms and then sounds that he heard by traveling all over the world and brought them to American jazz and really created this Afro-Cuban sound. He wrote great pieces. One of my favorites exemplifies this very well. It's called A Night in Tunisia, named after the famous Northern African city, bustling with excitement. But Dizzy Gillespie, when he wrote this song, he first called it Interlude. Now, it's kind of interesting. You'll hear when I play it that there's an A section, which is something like 16 measures, and it follows a typical AABA form. So there's an A section that repeats, and that's based on a very Afro-Cuban rhythm. You'll hear the rhythm right away. Then it goes to the B section, which is a complete bebop feel, and you'll hear it switch rapidly. The rhythm will switch right to the 4/4 driving swinging feel. And then after the AABA, then there's this interlude. Remember, he initially named it Interlude. And the interlude is this beautiful 16-bar riff, sort of, that is a bridge. It's a transition from the tune that incorporates elements of both Afro-Cuban and jazz in one. And this piece it really should be interpreted as a bridge between the cultures and even a mingling of people, of the cultures together, of how American society really works. People from different backgrounds mingle and come together and create new things. And that's what happens in this interlude. Listen to the interlude and you'll hear different elements of the Afro-Cuban and the Latin, and it bridges back to the top of the tune, and we go into it again and I'll play it out. But this piece is a metaphor for American society. Every measure, every note, if you study it hard enough, you'll understand that. So I hope you enjoy A Night in Tunisia. I have to tell you a personal story before I play this tune, because it's about Dizzy Gillespie. My father was a professional jazz musician, and he loved Dizzy Gillespie. He played with Dizzy Gillespie. He worshipped Dizzy Gillespie. And when my parents' first child was expected, my older brother, the due date was the same as Dizzy's birthday, which is October 21st. And my father warned my mother that if my brother was born on October 21st, he was going to be named Dizzy. And my mother made sure that that didn't happen because he was born 4 days earlier. My brother's birthday is October 17th, and he was named David. But it's just one of those personal stories that, you grow up with, family lore, and one of those stories I'll never forget. So here's A Night in Tunisia by Dizzy Gillespie.